What up, virtual people? Welcome to the 124th episode of VCR Redux. We take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2023. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, fresh off the Blonde Ambition tour, Bobby Masters back on the show.
Hey.
And rounding out this righteous crew from Crash Romeo, Honey Red, and Best Around, Steve Anderson is back on the show.
Hi. How we doing?
Thank you. We're doing good. Thank you so much for coming back on. We
Anytime.
are here today to topple Water and Power, to worship Lori Petty, and to turn Ice-T into a kangaroo. That's right, folks. This world needs Tank Girl 2 Club Tread, and we're here to give it to you. But before we suck the water out of Ian's soul, we got a dish on how Tank Girl came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course, that goes for everyone watching the live chat as well. Was it Love at First Laserdisc, Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how Tank Girl came into your lives. So, Bobby, do you remember the first time you got Tank Girl?
I remember specifically because I first read about Tank Girl when I was reading Jerry Halliwell's autobiography when I was in the 4th grade in 2001.
Oh my God, I'm so old.
I was 11 years old. I was 11 in 2001.
Oh gosh.
But so Jerry Halliwell and Victoria Beckham both auditioned for this movie. And Jerry Halliwell wrote about it in the biography. And
did they know what movie they were auditioning for?
I mean, it was just like they were actresses at the time. They weren't Spice Girls yet. They were looking for work, but like she just wrote about the experience. The audition tape is on YouTube as well, you guys.
That's fascinating.
So you can drop that.
The fact that anybody has kept a relic from the making of this movie is everything.
We were watching Tank Girl shit all day. I didn't remember seeing that. Do you remember seeing that trivia, Steve?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that wasn't there. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I must be running low on gas today. Steve, when did you first get Tank Girl?
Oh man, I don't remember when I first saw this movie. I remember I love anything kind of like comic adapted, like nonsense or whatever. Like this movie's manic. And it's fun. And Ian, your face is everything right now.
I can vouch for that. Knowing young Steve, sorry to interject.
No.
Steve was that kid who was into comic book stuff before it all became cool again. Like he had and Ian, you can relate to this.
I
Steve
know,
had the
right?
trunk full of Marvel action figures. Like he never had to sub in
Yes.
$6 million man for a Marvel character because he had
No.
all of them.
All of them, yeah, everyone, yeah,
And
comics, the fucking figure, yeah, all of it. And so this spoke to me a little bit when it first came out. Like I liked everything of that. It was fucking weird though. It's a weird ass movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
really weird, but it's
No.
like it's cool. I love the style. I love the soundtrack. All of her hairstyles. It's so
The
cool.
soundtrack's great. Yeah, the soundtrack's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Everything you just mentioned is A pluses across the board for me. But I have a feeling, I suspect for some reason, young Iowa Ian didn't feel the same when he first got tank girled. So were you filling up the tank and getting a slice of pizza, and it was just too much tanking going on?
Was probably the loudest, silentest fart any movie company has ever released upon this earth.
Oh.
Wow. Bobby,
Don't hold
we're
back.
friends, but gosh dang it. It's like,
I have
did
no
you ever
comment.
step, now listen, did you ever step in dog turd and you try to clean your shoe and there's like crevice in the bottom of your shoe where that you just can't get it clean? Like there's dog
It's never
turd
going to be
that's
the same.
it's just in there. Like
Yeah.
you try all you want, use hot water, soap, Lysol wipes, whatever it is, but there's that one little nugget of turd that just won't go away. That's tank girl.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh man, I didn't see that coming.
Did you did you rewatch this, Ian?
No.
No.
I watched
you-
Tank Girl once in my life. One time in my life.
Well,
I
Ian,
can't get that back.
that's
I
crazy.
can't get it back.
Okay,
I
I want the
can't get
details.
that.
Conversation that we're having with you right now.
This is therapy for young Iowa Ian. What age? I mean, what was it? Cable? Was it gas station rental? What are we talking?
I mean, souls were sold to make this movie. I mean, there was
Sounds like Laserdisc to me.
somebody is still there's a place at the bottom of the fiery pits of hell where some executive is there right now saying, "I'm sorry for Tank Girl. Please forgive me." And then he gets whipped with a fiery leather bound, whip. Like, I mean, this movie is an abomination. And if Reagan was still alive, he would have cried watching. Like, this is what would have killed him.
Good.
So you thought it was just yeah, I'm with you, Bobby. So you thought it was just okay then?
Why are you saying that like it's a bad thing?
I'm just saying this movie.
Appeal. Jesus.
Here's the thing about Tank
Ian
Girl.
is turning into a fucking right-wing televangelist before
No,
all of our eyes.
This
right
movie
now, I
might
swear.
make me do that. I don't know. If you have to find religion when you watch Tank Girl.
I feel like I've never felt this way before, Ian. I've always felt that your disdain for movies always came from some place that was kind of pure, even when I, vehemently disagree with you. But right now, I'm just like, I just feel like you're just all wrong. You're just not even a little bit right.
Okay.
And I feel like you're kind of saying this because you're like, oh, this isn't like my kind of party, so fuck this party.
No, this was not my party. This movie was way over my head. I will give it credit. This is a fascinating lens movie. I mean, the cinematographer, the director, the
great Rachel Talalay of Freddie's Dead, John Waters.
Is that who did it? My
yes, she's incredible.
Did she direct this?
Yes, she directed this.
I like her too.
This is like, first of all, I mean, I'll get to all this stuff, but this is one of the best
John Waters movies. Her first movie was Polyester.
This is one of the best comic book movies of the 90s, if not ever.
What world are we in? Did you watch Judge Dredd? Were you asleep?
Oh my God. Judge Dredd. Good Lord.
At least that one has sweet Robbie Schneider. What does this give me? Ice Cube? Like, I'm done with this movie.
Not even if it led to Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dread would I have appreciated anything about Judge Dredd in the 90s. Not even Diane Lane being in that could
I'll
have
have
saved
more
that movie.
thoughts about it later, but I do remember renting this. It was at the Eldridge Public Library, and I rented it. I looked at the cover. I thought, okay, this could be interesting.
I feel like this movie shouldn't even be allowed in the library. I love it, but it's like too edgy and hip to be in like such a place. It's
I've
just all wrong.
movies in the library selection that I knew would be there, honestly.
That's true. That's fair.
Tank Girl is definitely there. I'll give it some credit for what it is. We'll talk later about it, but yes, that was the day that I could not get back.
So you're what, like 6th grade, 7th grade, something like that?
Oh, I think I was in high school when I saw Tank Girl.
See, I feel like you missed it if you didn't get it live, but we'll get into that a little bit more.
There's some things live that you don't need to see. There's some news footage that you don't want to see again. There's some horrors in life that I just don't get it. I'll be flat out honest. I don't get this movie.
I think this is definitely one of those movies that was not even close to being attempted to be made for everyone. Like I
100% agree.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be.
It's not. No, and it isn't. Nothing should have to be. But like it's a very niche movie. So I totally get why somebody wouldn't get this, or I shouldn't say get it, or like wouldn't take it in and enjoy it. I could get that. I understand that.
I think, see, here's I'm gonna go on a rant here, but first I'm gonna get to the live chat. I want to say hi to everyone in there. Let's see who's there today. We got Angie Saunders, Miyagi Do Forever, Mikey Riffraff, Monica Thyman, Whiskey 41, Sandra Mars, Rob's Vintage Video. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I'm stoked you're all here for Tank Girl. Angie Saunders with some Tank Girl quotes. Mikey Riffraff's movie was awesome. Thanks for the tip on Tubi. I'm glad you guys watched it. Thank you so much again. Xander Morris, Ian, it sounds like you watch it one time too many. Souls are sold to make every movie. That's how Hollywood works. Fair point. Rob's Vintage Video, in my defense, Tank Girl is not that bad. LOL. But to your point, Ian, Xander Morris says Chris could not convince me to watch this movie. So there is that. So, but anyway, Tank Girl.
Yeah. People need to take a stance. Damn it.
Let me just set the stage for you all. How I and the '90s are fortunate enough to stumble upon a masterpiece called Tank Girl. And the 90s went a little something like this. It started out all great fun. It was called the 80s Part 2. It was like 90, 91. It was just more 80s. It was like we turned up. Now we have an 80s that goes up to 11, guys. The 90s.
Everything was
and then all of a sudden,
everything was still brown.
Then all of a sudden, we got lost. Culturally, we were fucking lost from like 92 to like 96, 7. We just had no idea what the fuck, right? Things were dark and depressing. No one was having any fun. No one was allowed to smile or have a good time at all. And then along comes a film called Tank Girl and Lori Petty, and it is just perfection. And I think it represents one of the rare, if not only true, like cultural lighthouses of the mid-90s, where you can point to that and say, you know what, the 90s wasn't so bad because we had fucking Tank Girl. Tank Girl is incredible. It's perfection. It's the best Lori Petty film. It's one of the best comic book movies of the 90s, if not ever. It's definitely the best female comic book movie ever. Hands down, fucking, it smokes Captain Marvel. It smokes Wonder Woman. It smokes Catwoman. It smokes Supergirl, which was the only female-led comic book movie that predated this film. I could go on for fucking days. Like you said, the directing is incredible. We got Stan Winston. We got Ice-T as a fucking kangaroo. Kangaroo Ice-T? I mean, come on. I could just watch
Ice Cube.
Oh, you always think Ice-T is Ice Cube.
The cat?
Which one's what?
You need to get your ice sorted.
Yeah. Which one's in Trespass?
Ice-T.
Ice-T, yeah.
Okay, that is the one I'm thinking of. But did I say Ice Cube?
And fucking bring up Trespass. God, of all things.
What Trespass? That is the shat. That movie.
Ice-T's the car shield guy.
Talking about is Trespass, not Tank Girl.
All right, well, coming back around to Tank Girl. This movie did fall into like a period in the 90s or whatever where people were able to still make these like weird art house kind of indie, small budgeted, like niche weird movies, and studios would still do that. And I do appreciate that about this movie. And I do appreciate that about like a lot of the other movies that maybe didn't hold up, but even what this one did. This was critically not so good, right? Essentially, didn't do all that well.
There were a lot of deleted scenes. The same thing happened with like the Studio 54 movie. Like the network execs like came in and like they didn't like certain things, so there was like a good like hour of deleted scenes that were like
that's a lot.
Not like a lot, but yeah, but I don't know, but it would have. I feel like it would have changed the tone of it a little bit more to make it like more what the director wanted, because they came in and just like took it from her.
They butchered it, huh? Yeah.
I mean, it would have been ballsier. Like I will say, like hearing about the shit that was like deleted, like they spent $5,000 on like a prosthetic kangaroo penis that like for a love scene that like was cut. Like she like lived in a room completely.
I could admit that strange, yeah, but like
still,
but like I'm just saying, like it should have been weirder. It like that's the I mean, if you want the movie to be bigger and more successful, you should have just let Rachel Talalay do whatever she wanted. I think she's brilliant.
She did do amazing. I mean, I can see with Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and like her doing this one, like I can see it's she's definitely doing a style. Like it is definitely her cup of tea.
Well, I think this is a movie that's pretty much ripped directly from the source material, and like a really, like a really straightforward, like good way. Like
I will give it a compliment. I will give it this.
Yeah, say something nice about Tank Girl.
I will. But Tank Girl was the '90s Deadpool, and I don't think any movie did it better until Deadpool.
Right.
Oh! You mean that crappy Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, not the Clint Eastwood masterpiece?
No, not Chris. Dirty Harry 6. You bet.
Who the hell would think that? That's what he's talking about.
Chris Stiles would think this.
Yeah, the fucking Jim Carrey lip syncs fucking Welcome to the Jungle. Are you kidding me?
It is pretty
Guns
impressive.
N' Roses in a Dirty Harry film. Like it's Liam Neeson. That movie's. We don't deserve that movie. We should do a Dirty Harry. We should do a Dirty Harry VCR.
We deserve to suffer through.
Pitch a 106-year-old Clint Eastwood fighting a chair.
So I think, but
I will say, the breaking the fourth wall, the funness that, that I mean, Lori Petty. This is fascinating to me. Did Hollywood try to make Lori Petty a thing, and Lori Petty just kind of said, "Eh"?
A lot of people blame this movie that she didn't become a bigger star because she was coming off of 3 hits. She was coming off of Point Break, League of Their Own, and I can't remember the third one, but it was like 3 big hits.
Free Willy.
Free Willy.
Thank you. I can never remember that she was in that movie because it's fucking Free Willy.
To do this movie.
Really?
She turned out what?
She turned down Free Willy 2 to do this movie.
Oh.
Everybody should have turned down Free Willy 2. The Whale should have turned down Free Willy 2.
I'm pretty sure he didn't have a say in the matter.
Finally, Ian, we got that.
See, there we go, Bobby. There we go.
And you guys are friends again.
We're always friends, Bobby.
Say that she made the right choice. Like, if you were given an option to be in one of them...
she absolutely took the right deal. It's just, unfortunately, it was Tank Girl.
Mm.
Like, the world was not ready for the... I mean, the 90s were... Chris is right. It's like the 80s, right? Everybody thinks of the 80s as like, neon lights and, Scarface cocaine and wearing the Beat It Michael Jackson red suit everywhere.
Yeah, they don't know about the wood paneling,
Yeah, I'm talking about wood paneling, that weird flower couch that your grandmother inherited to your parents that had cigarette burns, and an old shag carpet that was left over. Like that was the 80s to most of us.
Yes.
And the 90s were kind of like that's when we started to get, glass walls. You remember those brick glass walls that people
Chris loves those walls.
I'm obsessed with glass.
Who doesn't love those walls?
I want to live in a Superman cave, but all glass bricks instead of glass crystals.
But it was like people in the 90s finally got those because they couldn't afford it in the 80s when it was in. So like the 90s had those walls.
Send me your glass bricks, folks, if you have them. Want to sponsor us?
But it was like Tank Girl. It's like Tank Girls, Hackers, they
They're
just
they're
were.
they're the thank God we got them movies.
Well, I know,
Otherwise,
but
I wouldn't
they
have
were
made it.
way
I wouldn't have
too. The audience
survived
was
the 90s.
the audience. We were still in Under Siege 2 dark territory. Like that's where we were still at, Chris. The world
Okay,
was not
all
ready
right.
for Tank Girl. It just
You put
wasn't
it
ready.
in terms that I respect and admire, I gotta say.
You know,
That's
when you
probably
got
right. Yeah, that's probably
right.
correct. Like if
That's
this movie
about
had
right,
come
yeah.
out, if this movie
today,
had
like
come
this
out,
is this is a. I mean, Tank Girl is Scott Pilgrim. I mean, Tank Girl.
right? Okay.
I mean, not
yeah.
Bobby. Calm down. Calm down. But the if it had come out now in comic book movie, like we know how to do a comic book movie, I think Tank Girl would have hit a better audience.
See,
Not.
No, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to continue.
No, sorry. I think it would have.
Mid-sentence.
I would. It's like Hackers now has an audience. We talked about that in our Hackers show. Tank Girl now has an audience that it did not have then.
You think there's a cult
But
following?
I
for this
don't
movie?
think they should have really made it any different, other than like I said, like giving the director more freedom to be a little bit more like risque and get people talking a little bit more, because the movie got like no promotion. But I think it's made perfectly. I mean, I think it's a comic book come to life. I think it's got like this incredible punk rock energy, which again is why it's a cultural lighthouse of the 90s. Like that was like when we were lost, it was because like, you know, I feel like in the 80s punk was still underground enough, but in the 90s, like it was going to come out in the mainstream one way or another. We didn't know how that was going to be. And at first it was kind of like coming out through grunge. And it was, you know, not a very
this movie really
time.
borders. It really borders on the could have went that
guys,
way.
I'll be right back. I got dog duty. Hold on.
Yeah,
no problem.
It could have really teetered that way, and it could have really went to that whole grunge side of the early 90s and mid 90s or whatever. And it didn't. No, actually, fucking Face to Face is on this soundtrack. It's one of the best fucking bands ever.
I knew you would work that in. Yeah,
I have to. I couldn't believe that. That was great.
It is an incredible. It's an incredible 90s soundtrack. It's an incredible 90s poster. I mean, it's an incredible piece of that. It's a part of. It's kind of pre Green Day, you know.
Porter. Like where can you go with that?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Oh, I said you got Joan Jett covering Cole Porter. Like you can't go wrong. And like the
great.
Like you have Iggy Pop. It as like the child predator,
Malcolm McDowell,
Ann Cusack, Lori Petty, and Ann Cusack reunion from A League of Their Own.
Right,
that's true. Yeah, I feel like McDowell was there for about 4 days on set for this movie and was like, "That's all you get of me, and I'm out of here." Because they could have done more with him. Here are the few little nitpicky things that I just from this movie. As long as we're praising it, so I'm talking about a few of the things that kind of got me a little bit more. McDowell. What they did with him with the whole hologram thing, I think they could have done something way better. I feel like it was just all timing and cuts and probably the studio pulling back, and he just wasn't around enough to portray the character, to the height of. He could have done it. You know, he's a great villain and a great actor. He could have really done a lot more in this movie. And what he does is great. Don't get me wrong, but like they didn't do enough with him. I feel like maybe he was there for like a week and was like, "I'm out of here." And they just kind of edited around that. I'm just speculating, but that and those animated cutscenes when they should be establishing shots of like whatever you're going into. Some of them are cool. Some of them, upon rewatching it, I kind of felt a little weird. I don't feel like all of them actually mesh with the plot. Some of it doesn't make any sense. Like when she beats the shit out of what's her name? The other girl in the movie.
Janet.
Yeah. When Lori Petty just beats the hell out of her in one of those animated, is this really happening? And there are animated scenes that are happening, or is it just nonsense in between? Yeah, these are the nitpicky things. If I had to
I think Tank Girl was. This may be more for pitch, or I don't know where it might be, but to me, Tank Girl was the best 11:30 MTV 1995 there was. Like, if Tank Girl had aired after Beavis and Butthead and in between Liquid Television,
yeah,
I
would have been huge.
think it would have been a hit.
Yeah, I think you're right. If it just had the MTV like brand before, like people saw
Wow.
Joe's Apartment because it had MTV
Yes,
on a
that's
movie,
right.
and they were like, "I can't."
Joe's Apartment.
Joe's Apartment's a
Yes.
fucking sack of shit. That's a
Oh,
sack
man.
of '90s crap. Talk about how lost we were back then.
You're right,
MTV's
though.
first movie was just about singing
Joe's
cockroaches.
Apartment gave us the best joke in this history of the planet, sir.
What was that?
God,
I'm from New Jersey. You know, which exit? Bada bing.
So
Okay.
to an interesting point, and I thought this was the case, but Whiskey 41 in the chat says both Ice-T and Ice Cube are in Trespass. So good
Oh,
point. I
shit.
thought
Damn
so.
it! That's why I get them confused.
Yes, that is why. And because
It's a good movie.
SVU. That's Ice-T, right?
Yes.
Ice-T's the car shield guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always think it's hilarious because I'm like, you're a fucking Ice-T. You don't have car shield. You don't have fucking. You don't need to have fucking car shield. Like you probably.
Oh yeah,
because
because I know the Tank Girl checks are just rolling into that mansion right there.
If there's any justice in this world, then that is the case.
I want
had to
that
endure
man
hours
to
of
show-
makeup.
I want
Stan
that
Winston.
man to show me the 4-cent check that he gets every year for Tank Girl.
Wait. He got $800,000 for this movie.
Yeah. There's
Boom.
There's
Then,
an interview.
What does he get today, Bobby?
Wow. There's an interview where
He gets
somebody tried
interest
to
on
like
keep on sitting on that 800,000.
somebody tried to get him in an interview. Like I saw some interview with him looking around for this movie where they're like, yeah, well, what about Tank Girl? That was kind of a flop. Like, how'd you think of that? And he goes, I got paid $800,000. Next question. And that's his entire portion of the interview with it. Yeah, right? Like, that's great. You're not going to fucking get Ice-T. The dude's amazing. Granted, I was surprised that he didn't play like the main kangaroo person. Like, he's kind of like the third kangaroo. You know?
It is kind of shocking because he was on like
The character's persona is pretty like him, so I couldn't see him like portraying like the goofier ones, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, again, I think it was just there was a place for this movie. It just wasn't in the Coralville Mall movie plex like in Iowa. Like that's not where Tank Girl belonged. I don't know why.
I will admit, I'm from the Midwest and I get what you're saying. Like 1995 Iowa could not fucking handle this movie. This movie is like it was made by space aliens for.
Iowa can't handle this movie.
Well, this is true too. But can you
No,
imagine?
2023 Iowa can handle it. Actually,
Can you imagine Farmer Bob who went to the movies on a Tuesday and he just he always just went to a random movie and he went to Tank Girl on that day?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. And I hope he enjoyed it. I hope he was sitting there going like, God dang, this is the best movie I've seen in a while.
You know what? He probably went home and picked up the soundtrack and got into Face to Face, and from there on, it was Husker Du and just nothing but the best.
This movie is tonally a little all over the place. Like they have some really, in the beginning of this movie, it's like right out of the gate, like child murder. Like like everyone, like she's fucking around, and then everyone she knows gets slaughtered. And then at one point, there's like child trafficking, and she's like kooky trying on outfits. Like while this little girl's being sold to, Iggy Pop. Like there's like shit like that where it's like tonally like, maybe this is important, And then at one point he takes a Gatorade bottle and sticks it in someone's back and sucks all the water out of them. So like, I don't know. I don't really,
Don't get that. I still don't understand.
It doesn't make, it doesn't have to make sense. That's what I mean. Like you can't have like, I'm going to suck all the liquid out of your body with a Gatorade bottle and human trafficking in the same movie and have everybody be on board for what they're watching. Like it's a lot. It's a lot to try to take in.
Yes.
I feel like
I realize now that I don't need it to make sense for me to enjoy this movie.
Of course, yeah. That's how you enjoy it. You can't try to make sense of it. Yeah. There should have been a little bit more Tank too in Tank Girl. And now I'm done. Nitpicking. I love this movie.
Tank Girl's one of those movies where if you're a critic, it's like it's not even fair to even attempt to shred it in a way because it like I said, I joked earlier, but I at the same time, it's like it is a very fascinating
concept.
Yeah, like I said, the cinematography, like this is a movie I would love to show students
It's visually stunning. It's
yeah,
a
like the visual sense of it is like this took Rachel Talalay. Like, I mean, this took them. You know, it's impressive what they did. It's just like I said, it was like I think it was just a little bit too much out there. It's like Deadpool was like a good middle ground. It's like there's still reality to it. There's still some craziness, but so we're like right in the middle of where it was at. And I do wonder if Tank Girl was a little bit, you know, it was a little bit more tamer in, you know, in what was it, 96?
Well,
95.
95 or 90,
yeah, 95. Well,
yeah,
well,
95. It's like, you know, if it was just a little bit more tamer, I wonder if it would, again, it would have found an audience. I mean, I remember this not playing on HBO or Stars. Like, it just didn't play at all.
I think you're
Oh,
right, Ian, in the sense that like this movie didn't do as well as it could have done. Also, it came up against something ridiculous. Tommy Boy, I think.
Tommy
Or
Boy,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, the same opening weekend.
Forget it. I mean,
Yeah, so like, but also it could have done a lot better with audiences. I think you're right if it picked a little bit more of a lane. But what makes this movie good to me is that it unapologetically is what it is, and like
Yeah.
it doesn't pull any fucking punches. You know, like
Yeah.
whatever, with what it's trying to be and the source material, you know, what it's obviously picking from the comic and whatever. Like that's what makes this movie interesting and niche, you know, like, but
Yeah,
you're
it
right.
felt like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
fresh. It was, you know, it was fresh. You had never seen a movie like Tank Girl at the time, and you still haven't seen a movie like Tank Girl. Like there's, I mean, you compare it to Scott Pilgrim, that's probably one of the closer movies to the spirit of this.
yeah.
But it's no, I mean, I really like Scott Pilgrim a lot. I think it's a very good movie. But even like I gotta say, it's no Tank Girl. It doesn't really compare. It's Tank Girl's just on another level, and it really is, like you said, Steve. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't, but it's not, and it's also not pandering to try and be something that they think is gonna be cool or something. You know, it just absolutely authentically is what it is.
Yeah,
And
but also I think Ian's right too that if it did try to do that a little bit more, probably would have found a little bit better of an audience. It probably wouldn't have been as good of a movie.
yeah,
You know?
Well, that's what I'm
fair.
saying. It wouldn't be what it is. I mean, it would be, you know, I mean, it'd be like the Captain America 1990 with, you know, just Thunder rocks.
so
You know, like I
terrible.
mean,
Yeah,
it you know, it would have been that kind of watered down. You know, it would have worked. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like it would have been a Tank Girl and it would have worked, and it probably would have played on HBO. It probably would have. I mean, if they had toned it down so there wasn't so much of the risqueness of it. I mean, it would have been, to be honest, it probably would have played on HBO at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon if it was a PG-13 movie.
Ugh.
You know?
Yeah,
but
first of all, I
fuck this,
discovered it on cable. It's one of the reasons I was thankful to have cable. I put it in that blood in, blood out category, which is another thing of you know, a lighthouse of 90s culture. But we are just about at pitch time, and there are already a few in the chat. And there is one that came, Sean Gold of Gold's Code couldn't be with us today, but he wanted me to let you know that he has a pitch in mind.
Gosh sakes. I
And
think I'm gonna go
it's-
take care of the dog crap outside.
Yeah, this is probably not a bad time. But Sean's pitch is the preps want revenge on Mitchell, and it involves tanks. It's tanks versus blades in Tank Born. God damn, I didn't think it could get better, but somehow it did. It just gets better all the time.
It didn't get better at all.
I mean, that's
Nothing
the
got-
only. I mean, to be fair, if this movie's missing anything, it just needs like Tank Girl to put on those rollerblades and grind down the like barrel of the tank. She already does, like she surfs it. You know what I mean? Like, why can't she skate it? Like, there's plenty.
I'm surprised there are no rollerblading scenes in this movie. To be honest,
This
with
movie's
you.
begging for some skate culture. I'm just saying, Hackers has the edge there. It's the only spot. But I gotta say that it's never a bad idea to add rollerblades. I'm just saying. Also in the chat though, Princess K says Tank Girl sounds like a 90s Terminator, which is actually making my mind do.
That would have been great. That would have been a good movie.
I would love to see Tank Girl just killing machines in the apocalypse. Like it could be a Terminator knockoff, it could be like Foot Clan, it could be anything. But if it's just Tank Girl versus the machines, I'm down for whatever it is. Anything. An endless horde of Tank Girl kicking ass. Like it's an Avengers trick, you know. Oh, it's an endless army invasion. Oh, it's an endless robot invasion. Oh, it's an endless faceless invasion.
Right.
But also Travis Mitchell has a pitch in the chat. Well, two things. First, he says, the more I think about it, the more I can see Tank Girl being in the same world as Mario Brothers 1993, which is kind of...
Oh, it totally is.
Yeah, I that thought crossed my mind too. That these two movies have very similar tone, like weird. I don't even know how to describe it.
I get what you're doing there, but to me, this is so much more fun. Like, that's more representative of why the 90s was lost. This is more representative of like where it should have been found. But maybe more on that another day.
Sir.
Yeah, I'm trying here. It's probably pretentious, but he also has a pitch, and I basically
the poetry was beautiful.
Well, Travis Mitchell's pitch nonetheless is Tank Girl climbs into a water pipe, ending up in Dino Hatton, revealing the meteor was the same one that split the universe in two. Tank Girl teaming up with Mario and Luigi to stop Bowser. All right, now I gotta eat my words because that sounds like a lot of fun.
Also, that is the whole point of it. A meteor hits, and that's why this post-apocalyptic world is happening in the first place.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that. Right?
Well played, Travis. Yeah,
very nicely done. Yeah,
yeah. Some love for Scott Pilgrim in the chat as well.
It's a good movie.
Oh, there's another pitch. Princess K. Pitch: Tank Girl ends up in a tank looking at sharks and ends up in 47 meters down. So I'm not familiar with that, but
okay.
I have this thing with like the shark movies that are post Jaws. It's kind of like the Exorcism movies that are post Exorcist, where it's just like really tough for me to get into it. I do love the Sharknado franchise.
There's two eras. There's before Deep Blue Sea, and then there's after Deep Blue Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Before Deep Blue Sea, it's kind of like the Jaws ripoffs. Once you got past Deep Blue Sea, that was a weird. That's a weird world. That's when it's just Sharknadoes, sharks. There's a shark Christmas movie. There's a shark
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 47 meters down.
Well, you know what's funny about
Periscope, you know,
with her pitch, I didn't realize this until we were watching all this shit on this movie today. There's a sub girl who was originally going to be played by who was it, Chris?
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love, yes. Oh, was she going to play? They were going to have a sub girl in the movie. They shot, but you're right. Courtney Love was going to be in this till Kurt Cobain died, right? And then so sub girl was never really brought into play. That could be something.
I read that it was Bjork.
Oh, was it Bjork? Really? And she's in it?
But no, she was supposed to. Anne Cusack plays sub girl, and it's a very small part. But apparently, like, they rewrote it after Bjork pulled out. But Courtney Love was supposed to. I think she was supposed to be in the movie, but she pulled out because of Kurt Cobain dying. But they brought her on to be like was the music coordinator of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Music supervisor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And give credit where it's due. She did a fantastic job.
What are we gonna do now? Bjork's not doing our movie. Oh no. God.
Yes, everyone in Iowa would pronounce it Bjork, of course.
Listen,
so
screw you. We all watched Dancer in the Dark, and we were all ticked off. So don't give me that crap.
I did not watch Dancer in the Dark.
I would have loved to see Courtney Love in this, though. I'd love Courtney Love.
So it's an interesting question because she is phenomenal in everything she was in the 90s. She was in People vs. Larry Flint, like incredible. One of the best performances of the 90s. And she was in Man on the Moon, two Milos Forman classics.
Right.
Her first movie was Sid and Nancy.
That's right. And I'm always that's like her and Sid and Nancy is like the Tom Cruise and Young Guns thing. Like, I'm always trying to squint to find it. Like, where is
I know,
yeah. Or it's like the Chili Peppers being in Less Than Zero. I don't care. I've seen that movie 10,000 times. I've never spotted anyone and been like, that's Flea or that's,
I feel like Courtney Love was considered for so many fucking movies through the 90s. Like, you always hear that.
After Larry Flint, I mean, she was,
she was really good, she was great.
I still have to see that. I really want to watch that.
Oh, it's a good movie, man. It's worth watching.
It's totally worth it.
We might have to throw that on this weekend.
All right, so here's my pitch.
All right.
If we were going to do it today, and it just fits for me, but honestly, and I know it's probably different worlds, you have to do different rights, this, and that, but I would love Tank Girl to make an appearance in Deadpool 3.
Okay.
I think Tank Girl would be the perfect girlfriend for Deadpool.
No, so
That
is Lori
Get me
Petty?
to watch. That's a way to get me to watch one of those movies.
That's fair.
Interesting.
Is Lori Petty still playing Tank Girl?
She still looks just like her.
Does she?
Yeah. She is Tank Girl. It's
That's, that's her whole look in real life
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Man, she is so good looking in this movie. I'm not gonna
see.
lie.
I don't know.
Everything else.
It's so easy to go to Margot Robbie. It is
Yeah,
so
right.
easy to always say Margot Robbie. But
Yeah.
I think that's
She-
because of her Harley Quinn is
Right.
a Tank Girl-esque role
Character, right?
that
Honestly, it's probably one of the only ways you're going to remake a Tank Girl movie and have anybody go see it.
well,
And let's be
what I'm saying.
real,
I don't
okay? Like,
think
let's
Tank
just-
Girl should be its own its own film. I think
If Harley Quinn gets 7 movies, then Tank Girl should get at least 70 because Tank
But
Girl
it's like the
is
Hulk.
more than Harley Quinn. No, let me just let's get this out there. Tank Girl up here. Harley Quinn, she's great, but maybe here at best. It's Tank Girl.
I
All the
maybe,
way.
but we all learned like the Hulk is better as an ensemble character, not his own movie. It's like to me, Tank Girl, it would be a great
Ensemble,
secondary character, but not the whole thing.
You may be right, but it also could be that no one has figured out how to do a Hulk movie the right way.
I thought Ang Lee. Okay, this is controversial, but I thought Ang Lee's was great. It was
Of course.
It looked
course
like
you
but it looked like a comic book. As non-comic book reader, I thought it worked. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
I also say that
again,
Ang Lee is great, so some of what he did in that movie is great,
Yeah.
including the comic panel stuff. But the rest of it,
well, and again, what I'm saying, I do think there is some movie out there where, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if she came into a Deadpool movie, I think that would just be great. I think it would fit. I think you could be as wild and outrageous as what this is. And honestly, knowing Ryan
but
Reynolds,
in reality, it would be a Family Guy like type cameo at best.
and maybe, but
She'd show up for 5
could
seconds.
Lori,
and they'd be
could
like,
Lori
"Oh,
Petty do it? Sure, I think it'd be great to have Lori Petty still do it. I'm sure
Yeah, this-
Lori Petty herself would probably want to do.
This is Have you guys seen? And this kind of reminds me of it a little bit in tone, but just how much fun it is and whatever. I know this is a weird thing to throw in there, but I think it was Paramount Plus or Peacock, one of the two or whatever, just did that original series of that Twisted Metal game with Anthony Mackie.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's-
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal.
It was so good. It was so well done. And a series like this, taking Tank Girl, taking Lori Petty, bringing her into the now, and having this post-apocalyptic world in the same vein as to how they made that series would really be something. That would be great because it's fun and it's crazy and they have all these wild characters and it's kind of just like a post-apocalyptic, road trip movie. And like, and like a fun vein. And that's what this movie really needed. She has a tank. She's doing stuff, but most of the time she's stuck in one spot trying to escape. And she needs to be traveling all over the place in this tank, doing like, Monster of the Week kind of shit. And that's why
Furiosa from Mad Max Fury Road is Tank Girl.
Yes.
I said it.
Yeah,
There it
there
is.
you go. Yeah. That's
Again,
what I'd want to see.
Tank Girl is more than Mad Max, even, let alone Furiosa. I fucking love Mad Max. I love George Miller. I'm not talking shit. I'm just like saying Tank Girl is so fucking underappreciated. It's one of the great crimes of the 90s. The 90s was the decade of scandals. It's like Lorena Bobbitt, Amy Fisher, Joey Buttafuoco, O.J. Simpson, Bill Clinton. The scandal. The scandal we're not talking about is that people didn't show up for Tank Girl. That's the scandal that I'm upset about.
No, the scandal is they did show up for Tank Girl. They weren't ready for it.
Okay.
That's the
That's
scandal.
right.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if they literally, Rachel Talalay, all she has to do is grab her storyboards from 1994, go film those storyboards today.
You already did.
But I'm just saying, if she just filmed today, I guarantee you, and you release on on streaming, it'll be a #1 hit.
Well,
Yeah, this would make for a great series. You know,
I'll admit that. Yeah, it would be a fantastic like Netflix series. Like it could
Yeah.
be an animated series as well. Like that's actually not a bad way to bring it back too. To just do it as a full-on animated series. That way you can keep any of the original actors that you want, and you don't have to worry about like, oh, can they still do this or can they do that, or
Right.
is it going to
That's
cost? Is it
true.
going to cost $1 billion to do it the way it needs to be done?
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, doing it animated, you could literally bring back everyone, and they'd all do it. 'Cause why not?
This would be a great Adult Swim cartoon.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about liquid television before. Like this would.
Well,
have
that's what I'm
been
saying. I mean, like
perfect.
Eon. I mean,
Yeah.
Eon.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that? It was like Eon Flux, Beavis and Butthead. You know, Daria.
The
Yeah.
State.
Yeah.
It was an incredible time to be alive, and like again,
Diarrhea.
thankfully we had a few of these things in the '90s that made it all tolerable. But speaking of making things tolerable, Alex Bonafonte has a pitch. So his pitch: Lori Petty, Naomi Watts, Ice-T, and the rest of the Mogs, as he calls them, the Kangaroos, are back as an oasis provides the wasteland with hope, with the resurgence of a pastime staple, the hamburger. A thriving burger joint and city-sized cattle ranch is protected by a large perimeter wall, tower, and defense system. But you can't have nice things in the wasteland, and a new threat appears in the form of a half-man, half-desert cat species known as Mats, led by the fierce Ice Cube. Oh, now we've got the ice, we've got the cube and the tea.
All right,
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Good
Yeah, let's
love
bring in
this.
we got to get a new weird Australian animal species hybrid that are disgusting and fucking terrible. Yeah, the dingoes,
the
koalas,
villains and hyenas.
No, they're man and
hyenas
they're
are from
mangoes.
Africa, Chris, and I've told you this so many times now.
I always think
Hyenas
it's Australia.
It's not Australia. No.
Well, that would be.
Why do we go over this so often?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
Chris, you idiot.
You fucking asshole.
Just hang my hat in shame. But there's more. There's more to Alex's pitch. So now ferocious fighting is sparked between the Mogs and the Mats, and only one can have it their way. Oh, very nice. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
The Burger King slogan. So as the dust settles and Tank Girl breaches the city's walls, the bloodied remnants of both groups come face to face with the guardians of the city. That's right. Who were once airborne are now known as the Solar Babies.
sakes.
Wait a minute. Oh, change up. He hit you with the Solar Babies. Yes. Wow, advanced work there.
What are
work.
solar babies? I'm not familiar with
I will
those.
explain.
Solar Babies?
I'll explain at the end of this pitch. There's more to this brilliance.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, in the title, Army of the Burger King in Tank Girl 2, Fur Burgers. Wow, that title is perfect.
Bobby, once upon a time, there was a thing called VHS.
What the? Do I have to pull out my VHS collection?
Bitch, Bobby's got more VHSs than you and me.
You probably do. You probably do.
You are so safe states away from me right now.
He hit you right over the head with a fucking drop dead gorgeous VHS if you were there.
Bobby, how would you sequelize this?
Wait, what was that? I was seeing red.
How would you
Don't you see anger and red at me, sir?
Oh my god. How would you sequelize this? What are your thoughts? What do you think?
I don't know what I would do with sequelizing this. Like, we're kind of already living the prequel, you know? Like,
it's true. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Seriously.
That's a good point. Oh man.
That way Tank Girl's the fucking hero that we need today.
Maybe that's a cool route to go, would make a prequel to like see like how it all got that way.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Like maybe you could see like how it all happened.
Yeah, right.
Actually,
that's pretty good actually. Because you could have a young McDowell, you could have a young Lori Petty, and I think that'd be a much better way to go than trying to recast them now in the same age, the same whatever.
I do think it is fun though to imagine like if who would be a villain? Like could you compare to Malcolm McDowell if you were to bring a new villain?
Sam Rockwell.
I don't know if we can really compare Malcolm McDowell to other people.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Give me Sam Rockwell every day.
All right. But he's a little older now. I mean, like, are you talking about bringing these young people in to play them, or somebody that you could just have as a villain now?
Give me Sam Rockwell.
I'm just curious.
Or who I like who would fit in this well? Actually, he was in Mad Max Fury Road. Was crap. He was the He was one of the minions, but he was also in the menu just a couple.
Yeah. The God, what's his name? The main dude in the menu, right?
Yeah,
the main chef. Oh yeah, he's great.
Nicholas Hoult.
Yes.
Nicholas-
I I think he'd be a great villain for a Tank Girl movie.
Sure,
would
you could do.
think-
Yeah.
I would think I could see like Cumberbatch, Benedict Cumberbatch would be really good. Someone kind of like that, maybe Michael Shannon.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic and everything.
You know, they're young.
I would
but
love to be
they're-
there where you pitch Michael Shannon. Hey, be in
Tank Girl, I know, right?
I would love to be there.
Honestly, he probably needs something to wash the taste of the Flash away, which I'm sad to say because
It wouldn't be this project though. He wouldn't see Tank Girl, the first one, and be like, all right, well this will
Don't get
me."
Oscar-winning
Yeah.
stuff. Do Tank Girl.
Yeah.
The man was in Groundhog Day. All right, let's come on. Let's just saying, not everything has to be.
That was a
A
long time
fucking-
ago, Chris.
Yeah, well,
Wait, Michael
You
Shannon's
were-
in Groundhog Day?
yeah. Have you ever seen a movie in your life? What? How
Yeah,
do
I
you
saw
not know
Tank
this?
Girl, unfortunately.
And then you quit right then and there, I guess.
Like it was over at that point.
It sucks because you know Eddie in the Cruisers 2 was just on deck for you, and if you would have just kept watching movies. So again, catching up with the chat. Scotty B, to our point before, this is a great documentary called Sharksploitation on Shudder. That's kind of fun.
Ooh, I should watch
And he also
that.
says the Christmas movie is
I'd
Santa
watch that.
Jaws.
Yes.
Travis Mitchell, I think, commenting on Alex's pitch, says basically a death race, but it's vertical with cars on cables descending the trench with Mad Max and Tank Girl killing fucked up cannibals with gills and fins. No, I think that's his own pitch, actually. That's really fucking great.
Kind of good.
Yeah, I love that. Scotty B says, would sub girl be considered a sub genre? That's cute. I like that.
Cute.
That you get 2 points for that. You get a
There's-
actually no, you get a high five. That's a high five.
Again, Xander Mars says, Ian, no, if Deadpool gets a love interest in a movie, it's going to be Lady Death. That kind of comic book talk goes right over my head.
I get it. I get where you're coming from.
Nerd.
I'm with you.
And there is some love. And some love for Twisted Metal. And also, Travis Mitchell says the prequel of Tank Girl is basically Waterworld. And this is the thing that, again,
Oh, snap.
talking about how lost we were in 90s culture, everyone talked about Waterworld. That was the water cooler movie, you know, and that's a goddamn fucking shame because that movie's a waste of soul and money and resources and environment.
How dare you? That is
everything.
a good.
You know what? No,
That's
weirdly
the
enough,
worst thing the two Kevins ever did together by fucking far, and you
Did
know
you
it.
watch Robin Hood? Did you see that American accent on
Robin Hood is a
Locksley?
masterpiece compared to
Get outta here.
Waterworld.
both these
It's got
movies,
Alan
though,
Rickman
however,
and Christian Slater.
both these movies, however, are post-apocalyptic joints with the protagonist has to take a little girl and fucking save her through the end from a overly ridiculous bad guy who's just trying to control all the resources left on the planet.
Mm-hmm. And
Maybe.
they're both from 1995, and one's
Right.
a total piece of shit, and one's a masterpiece. And
Right. But one
That just
people
kills
know
me.
what Waterworld is for whatever reason.
One's a masterpiece. The other one is Tank Girl. That's
oh,
Well,
shit.
Kevin Costner, Lori, you know, like that's why, you know, you got Costner in your movie, and people are gonna.
But again,
remember it.
it really
Do
does
you
bring
think
it back
that,
to
though, I
Ian's
love-
point that we were in Under Siege 2 world when we should have been in Tank Girl world.
Well, that's
Right.
well, that's my. Do you think if like if Gina Davis was in this, like let's go way back to the 90s. This is Gina Davis. This was, I don't know, Julia Roberts. I mean,
Sandy
would
B.
Tank,
This is
yeah,
fucking-
Sandra Bullock. Would this have
Yeah.
been a different Tank Girl that we're talking about today?
Julia Roberts could never, and
Well,
that
I don't. I agree. Or this is Drew Barrymore.
The question is, would people have seen it? I
yeah,
think is
was
what you're
it?
saying.
I mean, I think Lori Petty is amazing, but is it because it was Lori Petty?
Right? People
She
didn't really
wasn't
know who
there.
she was.
She wasn't there yet.
yeah, I get what you mean, and maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
she was as there as you need to be. Well, the thing that
But
wasn't
she had.
there was
I mean,
the
like, yes,
promotion
she
for
had
this
been.
movie.
But she had been in those movies, but she hadn't been the
If
star.
this
The
movie got
breakout.
pushed,
When
if
you
this
when
got
you think
pushed
of
even as much as Airheads, even just an Airheads type of push, just like, hey, young kids who listen to
Right.
fucking music and are pissed at your parents, check out a movie that was made for you.
yeah, but that's
people would have
Brendan
been there.
Fraser and Steve Buscemi, and at least, you know, people This movie, like you think of League of Their Own, and you think of Gina Davis, you think of Madonna, you think of Rosie O'Donnell, and you don't. The name that doesn't hit you is Lori Petty, and it should. She's fantastic in it. You know, it's a great, you know. But like at the time, especially, people didn't know how great she was.
It's gonna disrespect Bill Pullman like that.
It's a shame though how like movies like
Ian,
you don't like this movie, you're entitled to that, but like it's a shame how like there's movies that are really good that are swept under the rug because Angelina Jolie is not the role in like the 1000th movie. I don't like.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
You know, like I don't like having people shoved down my throat. Like Margot Robbie's in everything. Yeah, she's good, but god damn it, like she doesn't need to be in everything. I get tired of people.
Yeah.
You couldn't be more
Hollywood.
right.
Hollywood's like, oh, we've decided Jennifer Lawrence is a star, and we're too tired to pick a second one, so she's going to be in everything going forward. Like, no, fucking spread it around.
But that's the model, though. That's what works, though. I mean,
and that's how it's always been. It's bullshit, but that's how it's always been. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
You're not going to see Mystic Pizza for Julia Roberts. You were going to see The Pelican Brief because Julia Roberts. You know, like it took time, and I just don't know if Lori Petty had hit the stride.
I get what you're saying. That like, if you had like that Tom Cruise can make you go see Far and Away,
you know what?
And no one gave a shit. No one even knows what that movie's about to this day.
But think of this, man.
Sir, that's a great Oklahoma raid scene.
What was one of the next? What was one of the next? What was one of the next big blockbuster super heroine, you know, leading lady movies after this? Catwoman with Halle Berry, who could not have been bigger.
No, after this
Angelina
was
Jolie.
That's a comic book movie.
No, successful female action movie. You said.
Yeah, what really killed it. What killed it though was right after. I mean, Tank Girl bombed, and then it was Cutthroat Island. It just like, you know, like for a period there, it just the female action star went down.
Yeah. Well, they made a bunch of bad movies. That's the problem. Halle Berry could not have been bigger, but that could not be shittier of a movie.
That's true. Like, you know, like as big as she was, it didn't help Catwoman.
No.
Did she get the Razzie for Catwoman?
Yes. Yeah. And she went and actually accepted it, which is crazy.
Good for her.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta.
Everybody should accept the Razzie.
Yeah, Verhoeven did it, man.
Wait, Sandra Bullock, sorry to trail, but Sandra Bullock won an Oscar one night and won a Razzie the following.
Really?
Balance.
Yeah, she won for The Blind Side, and then she got the Razzie for All About Steve.
Yeah.
I don't even know what movie that is.
Copies. She brought like 90 copies. She was just like, I brought everybody a copy so you can watch it and judge for yourself. Like,
oh, that's great. That's
class.
Great. I love her. I love her so much. She, you know.
Me too.
Well, and I know Lori Petty had some issues that came about. I mean, like from Hollywood and how she was treated, and I know Tank Girl had, you know, the flack that she got for Tank Girl. And I really do. I stand by. She does an incredible job. Like that's the thing. I don't think I just don't like the movie. I personally it's not my cup of tea, but I think it, like I've said, it's an incredible film. If you're like a cinematographer, you know, cinematography student, or, you know,
the editing is great too for a movie that was recut so many times.
I mean, like, it's an impressive movie, but I just don't know if Lori was the one to sell it at that time.
She's the one to sell it on the screen, but she might not be the one to get people at the box office yet again, because people didn't know. If you would have given it the right push, the like Airheads audience was there and they were going to movies, and like opening up against Tommy Boy is very fucking tough.
I would love to see a Tank Girl, you know, like there would be an interesting, like you were saying, a Tank Girl.
Like, what would Tank Girl 2 have been in 1997?
Well, that's what, that's what
the sequel that we should have gotten, because this movie should have been a hit. Like, who would have been the villain in that?
Is there an Archer version of Tank Girl out there? You know, like you know, or an animated show. Like, I think Chris, did you say animated show?
Yeah.
I think that would be a fantastic way to do Tank Girl.
And like the comic book stylings of how they did it,
and how boss would it be if ice flavor, you know, like
ice flavor,
like if he
vanilla,
Yeah, if Ice-T did the voice, like just like like
He'd do it.
like Isaac Hayes.
First of all,
He'd
I'm so
100% do it.
I'm so
I
making a
mean,
mashup
voiceover
of
is
Ian
really
wearing
ideal.
gold chains. And it says ice flavor.
That's right.
This needs to happen immediately.
Uh,
What were you gonna say, Bobby?
I said voiceover work is really ideal work. You're just talking, You're literally just talking.
You do. They do it all
And-
from home now. I mean, like literally, you set up a studio in
Yeah.
your house, and you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I mean, so there's. I think that would be a cool way to do Tank Girl that would
I
connect
think so.
with. I think would connect today. And heck, you
I
could
agree.
get Lori Petty to do the voice. I mean, like
Of
get
course.
That's what
everybody
I'm saying.
yeah.
And because people, no matter how good someone looks or whatever, that's gonna be like, they're old now. Oh, I don't like it. They're not young anymore. And you would avoid all that stuff. And like I think it would be incredible.
Every single fucking thing, is getting rebooted. Every single thing is getting rebooted. So
That's true.
We don't need to
Yeah.
reboot though. I want to know what happened next year or 2 years later. I want to know
Right.
what the next threat that was.
I want
What
well,
did
the deleted ending, the original ending, it was supposed to rain. So what happened after it rained?
yeah, right. I want to see Lori. I want to see Tank Girl going around and finding new crazy, shit that's been happening after this post-apocalyptic, meteor hit, and dealing with it. In different government projects that you don't know about outside of Australia. I want to see her get that tank on a boat and start going around putting shit back together.
Tanks versus robots, tanks versus ninjas, tanks versus aliens. I don't care. I'm game for all of it.
And it all fits. It all fits in this weird, this weird universe they've created.
It does all fit. As would a pair of rollerblades again. Also interesting in the chat. Last week, at the end of last week's episode, I somehow missed, I think, King Pimp, which was Monica Thymon's suggestion. I just wanted to highlight that because that was incredible. And before I miss one in this week's chat, I see Whiskey 41. And this is an interesting proposition. He says, marry, fuck, or kill the 3 Tom and Nicole movies. His would be, he would marry Days of Thunder, he would fuck Eyes Wide Shut, and he would kill Far and Away.
Yeah, but that's
the right
the
answer.
idea of being married to Days of Thunder sounds so depressing. I don't think I can play this game. I want to kill them all. I don't want to fuck or marry any of those. Tony
I would
Scott's
be married
worst
to
for me.
Eyes Wide Shut.
That's weird. That's a weird choice.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But I'm an
Ian.
intellectual at heart, and that is an intellectual movie. So
Of course, he would pick the fucking Kubrick film. And he's gotta like his country club friends are gonna watch this later and be like, "Oh, you didn't pick the Kubrick."
I would definitely want to have an affair with Far and Away, though. I cannot lie. That's a beautiful movie. Chris. If any of you listen, don't waste your time with the movies we promote here on this show. Go watch Far and Away, one of the best Ron Howard westerns you'll ever see in your life. That is a gorgeous.
The worst. Oh, just no. I can't get the taste of 1993 out of my mouth fast enough right now. That's just terrible. There's some love for Juliette Lewis.
I want that on a shirt.
Interesting.
Juliette Lewis.
The taste of 93 out of my mouth.
Juliette Lewis would have been a really interesting alternative.
Damn it. See, but I think that's a good idea, but she would have the same Lori Petty thing. I don't think Juliette Lewis would have sold.
No, you're right. I'm just saying if they had to have somebody else besides Lori Petty, I think that might have been the go. That would have been the ideal.
This should have been Christina Applegate's. This should have been her movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she could have sold it. Yeah, she would have sold box office seats. I got you there. Interesting though, also in the chat, and a great place to cue towards the end to wrap things up. Whiskey 41 says Ice Ian is the best rapper alive.
Ice Ian.
Ice Ian and his debut album, Ice Flavor, coming soon, folks. But before that, Streets, do you guys have anything coming up in the works you want to let the people at home know about before we say goodnight? Don't everybody go at once.
Sure. If you want to, there's a new record we put out this year or whatever, crashromeo.com. You can catch that on any platform under Crash Romeo. Plays, gives you music. Check it out.
All right.
Just sometime this week, there'll be a new B movie challenge for the fantastic, classic 58-minute science fiction epic, The Beast from the Beginning of Time, where a man is actually killed with a stegosaurus bone.
Nice. But
I was really nervous when you said 58 minutes. I thought you were going to go Undertaker and his pals.
Oh, what even? No, that's an Oscar-winning epic. Right there.
That's, I don't know. It's no Suburban Commando. Bobby, anything going on in your corner of the world?
Check me out interviewing James Duval and Shuri Curie this weekend at New Jersey in Atlantic City.
Hell yeah. You guys don't want to miss out on that one. Also, you Fandom fans might want to come back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. for an as yet unplanned episode of VCR Redux. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode, the best way to help is to leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow 9 Network, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
I like Ice Square.
Hey!